Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamunire. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Gnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Okay, 329.8. So this verse is about how bhakti can be done in different modes. Though bhakti is transcendental, but based on the modes of the devotee. Person practicing bhakti, bhakti can be considered as being done in three modes. Devotional service executed, Abhisandhaya yo himsam dambham matsaryam eva va samrambhi bhinna drigbhavam mayi kuryatsa tamasaha. So we should make sure that our bhakti is not in one of these three modes. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. So these qualities are qualities of mode of ignorance: envy, pride, violence, anger. Separatist. So Prabhupada will explain what this separatist is in the purport. So this is devotion in the mode of darkness. Already been stated that in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, that the highest, most glorious religion is the attainment of causeless, unmotivated devotional service. In pure devotional service, the only motive should be to please the Supreme Person of Godhead. That is not actually a motive, that is a pure condition of the living entity. In the conditioned stage, one engages in devotional service, he should follow the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master in full surrender. So these are all clear statements that Srila Prabhupada repeats in his purports again and again and again and again and again. The spiritual master is the manifested representation of the Supreme Lord because he receives and presents the instructions of the Lord as they are by disciplic succession. But we always have to remember that the first spiritual master, Shiksha Guru for us is Srila Prabhupada. So we have to follow his instructions in full surrender. So and all gurus who are disciples of Srila Prabhupada, actually they give the same instructions. Just that we don't seem to understand or accept it. So to make things simple, if we simply follow what Prabhupada has written in his books, then that is following his instruction in full surrender. Spiritual master is a manifested representation of the Supreme Lord because he receives and presents the instructions of the Lord as they are by disciplic succession. It is described in Bhagavad Gita that the teachings therein should be received by disciplic succession, otherwise there is adulteration. Again, this is also very important. See, when we can say that we are in disciplic succession, okay, if you are initiated, we are in disciplic succession. But if you are not presenting the message as it is, then it is adulterated. Then the whole point of being in disciplic succession is lost. The idea of being in disciplic succession is to understand the Shastra as it is and transmit it as it is without alteration, without modification. But many a times, we see that devotees, to suit their own practical considerations, they might not give the message as it is. See, preaching is an art. We should preach to the level of maturity of the audience. But Prabhupada said we should never give them some wrong information, meaning that they have to fully surrender. It is the ultimate instruction. But we don't go and tell that to a neophyte. But at the same time, we also don't say that you don't have to surrender to Krishna. That is also wrong. That is wrong. We might not speak about surrender at all. And when time comes, we will say you have to fully surrender to Krishna. And we can give it in like steps, teach them maybe parts of fully surrender, step by step. Mm. But we should not adulterate. We should not change the message just because somebody cannot understand or accept it. Prabhupada never did that. When he went to the West, so many people told him, saying, be little lenient, don't put these principles for requirements for initiation, and then these rules, that rules. Prabhupada said nothing doing. This is what it is. I come here to give, and I'll give exactly whatever is the message, unadulterated message. So we should never, in fear of losing people, we are generally in the fear of losing people. Because if I say something that is there in the Shastra, then that person will not come to Krishna consciousness. Of course, I mean, and that is the reason why preaching, many devotees think that, actually preaching to new people and preaching to existing devotees are two different things. When we are preaching to existing devotees, we will hammer the message as it is. But when we are speaking to new people, we will only give them whatever they can digest. So it's not that, and actually, even in preaching, many times I've seen the devotees in the first round of preaching to some newcomers. We cannot go into the depth of the purports because they're not going to understand any of that. We ourselves did not understand it. We are even now we might not understand everything that is there in the purport. So generally, when we are preaching to newcomers, first time we will only highlight maybe the most important part in the aspect of that verse with examples, etc., and have maybe one key takeaway for the assembled devotees. Not going to, heavy details and hammer. No, that's not. Then people will obviously stop coming. And we've seen that in multiple preaching programs where program starts off, 50, 100 people, then slowly it starts reducing because we are giving more than what the people can actually understand and accept. So preaching is an art. It's not like, it's not same shoes fits all. So this is very, very important. That of course it's very different to preach to, 5 people, 10 people, because we know individually what they are, and we can kind of tailor, etc. But when we're preaching to 50, 100 people, then it has to be common denominator, meaning we should we should preach to the lowest qualification. And then of course there'll be some people who are more serious, and they will approach by asking questions, by specific, asking for guidance. They get more engaged in service, etc., etc. That's an indication that we should engage with them separately. And then we engage with them separately, and give them more details, etc., etc. Right? But we should never adulterate. This is the whole point here. We should never dilute. We should never adulterate. We act under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master with a motive to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pure devotional service. But if one has a motive for personal sense gratification, his devotional service is manifested differently. Such a man may be violent, proud, envious, angry, and his interests are separate from the Lord's. That is why it is called separatist. Separatist means interests are separate from the Lord's. Our interest must be same as that of the Lord. How do we know what the Lord wants? Whatever our Guru wants, whatever Srila Prabhupada wants, that is in line with the interest of the Lord. If we have some other interest, then that we will be called a separatist. One who approaches the Supreme Lord to render devotional service, but who is proud of his personality, envious of others, or vengeful, is in the mode of anger. We should never deal like this with even just ordinary jivas. It will be considered jiva himsa. What to speak of dealing with other Vaishnavas? So, in the association of devotees, these qualities should never manifest. But at the same time, in the name of saying that, okay, I am not going to get angry or violent, etc., we cannot just people do whatever they want also. We should have a humble way of making sure that when people are wrong, people are they're made to understand that they were not right, right? And of course, then we have talked about this, who has the adhikara, etc., etc. But these things have to be done. We should not shy away saying that, okay, if I speak like this person will feel bad, then he might not want to talk to me, or he will not come to me, or whatever, and then just accept whatever. Even if somebody is doing something wrong, that should not be. At the same time, we should be humble. Mm. So many times, actually, we read in Prabhupada Lilamrita how Prabhupada was always humble, always. Irrespective of what the situation was, he was always humble. His interest was only to please his spiritual master and Krishna. But he never, uh, once there is like a big, like these god brothers, when Prabhupada comes to India, they are complaining. They are not happy with him, with devotees calling him Prabhupada. Prabhupada is not, he doesn't become angry. He just asks his secretary to get his letterhead, on which he had printed Tridandi Swami A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami. So he had not used the name word Prabhupada. He says, see, I am not calling myself Prabhupada. My disciples want to call me Prabhupada because they treat me like that. Uh, mm, so Prabhupada actually means two things. One is where there are other Prabhus at his feet, which basically means Acharya, and who is always residing at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is Prabhupada. And the Prabhupada name was actually was always used in connection with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples used to call him Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada's A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's disciples started calling him Prabhupada, they were upset. And actually then Prabhupada says that, see, envy is not good. They don't want to recognize the service that has been done at the lotus feet of my Guru. And so he was not saying that he did it, but he said anybody who would follow the instructions of his Guru should be respected, number one. Number two, if his disciples consider him as Prabhupada, as they want to respect him like that, then that should be allowed. Just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples. But of course, Prabhupada never thought that he is like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur or anything like that. It's just a matter of disciples' mood of worship towards Guru. But then Prabhupada was never envious of anybody, right, or angry. Of course, he used to show transcendental anger, but that anger used to last for like just as much as, if he said making a statement with anger, that's it. At the end of the statement, that anger is gone. Hmm. He was never proud, nothing, right? So we have to understand. We cannot say that, okay, I'm in very senior position, so I will be like this. No. Um, Prabhupada showed by example that those who are really qualified in bhakti will not show these attributes. And this devotee who's proud of his personality, envious of others, etc., he thinks that he's the best devotee. And the best devotee thinks that he's the worst devotee. Yeah. And the worst devotee thinks he's the best devotee. Devotional service executed in this way is not pure. It is mixed and is of the lowest grade, tamasaha. And we should also not associate with such devotees. We should not associate. We should respect everybody, like we have read. Kanishta Adhikaris also have to be respected. Uh, but we should not associate with them. Mm-hmm. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur advises that a Vaishnava is not of good character should be avoided. See, a Vaishnava is one who has taken the Supreme Person of Godhead as the ultimate goal of life. But if one is not pure and still has motives, then he is not a Vaishnava of the first order of good character. One may offer his respects to such a Vaishnava because he has accepted the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal of life. But one should not keep company with a Vaishnava who is in the mode of ignorance. So, which means that we have to recognize this, whether a Vaishnava is in which mode. If he's in goodness or pure goodness, actually not even goodness, pure goodness, because we'll understand what goodness is. Uh, so definitely not somebody who is in the mode of, who's doing bhakti in the mode of ignorance. Any questions? These are important verses. Okay. विषयानभिसन्धाय यशः ऐश्वर्यमेव वा अर्चादावर्चयेद्यो मां पृथग्भावः स राजसः. The worship of devotees in the temple by a separatist, again, whose interest is separate from the Lord, with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence, is devotion in the mode of passion. This is the most dangerous. The word separatist must be understood carefully. Sanskrit word in this connection are binadrik and prutak bhava. A separatist is one who sees his interests as separate from the Supreme Lord, from that of the Supreme Lord. Mixed devotees or devotees in the modes of passion and ignorance think that the interest of the Supreme Lord is supplying the orders of the devotee. The interest of such devotees is to draw from the Lord as much as possible for their sense gratification. This is the separatist mentality. Please note strong words. Actually, pure devotion is explained in the previous chapter. The mind of the Supreme Lord and the mind of the devotee should be dovetailed, meaning same, the same lines. Devotee should not wish anything but to execute the desire of the Supreme. That is oneness. When the devotee has an interest or will different from the interest of the Supreme Lord, his mentality is that of a separatist. When the so-called devotee desires material enjoyment without reference to the interest of the Supreme Lord, or he wants to become famous or opulent by utilizing the mercy or grace of the Supreme Lord, he is in the mode of passion. So this fame, opulence is another. In Vaishnava K. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that it is the stool of a hog. La Puja Pratishtha. Upashaka. These are the weeds who appear like sub branches of the tree of devotion, but they're actually weeds. And of course, when we ask some devotee saying that, do you want name and fame? They'll say no. It is a very subtle thing. Even the devotees who are going through this feeling, they don't understand till it becomes too late. That is why from the beginning, irrespective of what position, we should always understand that it's not us, it's just the mercy of Guru and Krishna and previous acharyas, that if anything meaningful has been done, has been through us, we've been made an instrument, that's all. We should always remember this, and we should never hanker for position. Position is given. Prabhupada said that, the higher the position, meaning he is the biggest servant. Huh? Like Bhakti Brihad Bhagat Swami Maharaj, he was saying that Rajbhog should be given to whom? Not to senior devotees, but to the newest in the gathering. Meaning, so a more senior one is a big servant. In Prabhupada's words, big servant, meaning he is the servant of all. So position means big servant. So why should we hanker for position? If Krishna thinks that we are the big servant, Krishna will give us that position. Mayavadis, however, interpret this word separatist in a different way. They say that while worshipping the Lord, one should think himself one with the Supreme Lord. Madhava is impressed, okay, he should not think of him as a separatist. He should think of himself as one with the Lord. This is another adulterated form of devotion within the modes of material nature. The conception that the living entity is one with the Supreme is in the mode of ignorance. Oneness is actually based on oneness of interest. See, Prabhupada is so sharp in his presentation. Oneness is actually based on oneness of interest. A pure devotee has no interest but to act on behalf of the Supreme Lord. When one has even a tinge of personal interest, his devotion is mixed with the three modes of material nature. Okay, can somebody explain what is this tinge of material personal interest? Of course, we know gross personal interest, meaning Like, yeah, we're not bothered. We just want to do whatever we want. What is an example of a tinge of personal interest?
Pranam Prabhuji,
Yeah,
like puja la pratishtha, desire for that.
no, that is also big. I'm asking tinge. Tinge means like we can't even make out. And
Okay.
some are very gross and big, which is very easy to find out, right? But tinge means it's very difficult to find out. It's like very small, but it's still personal interest.
To get liberated from material miseries, like
Okay, okay,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yeah.
Like Prabhupada said, becoming oneness with Krishna.
Oneness from interest, not oneness with Krishna. Yeah, tinge of personal interest means like, for example, suppose say there is prasadam, right? Tinge of personal interest is, can I get that sweet? If I go in the end, then that sweet will be over. It's like a tinge of personal interest. Or, somebody saying, telling us to do some service. We are surrendered. We want to do service, but we have some personal interest. We say, no, no, I don't like to wash vessels. I like to do this service. Like that. Or, like Prabhupada used to tell his disciples, you know, go here, go there. Um, Never disciples told anything. It could have been the worst of conditions to live. No money, complete, so much of difficulty, but they never used to bring up anything of their own, like personal convenience, personal thoughts, except in the process of doing that service, somebody could have some ideas, etc., which Prabhupada was always happy to hear. In fact, Prabhupada wanted his disciples to think independently, to think intelligently, but not for personal interest. Like for example, once the devotees coming from, I think, Gurudas Prabhu, Yamuna Mataji, and all of them, um, Kurukshetra. So they were coming from Delhi, I think. And the train stopped at Kurukshetra. Somebody came to meet Prabhupada and he said that, why don't you come? Why don't you please come? We'll give you facility for preaching, etc. Some place. He was talking about some place available, etc. And Prabhupada just immediately called Gurudas. He is wanting to give something. Uh, Go with him. That's over. Um, uh, and actually in this train journey, Gurudas Prabhu was had personally, they were in like a first class compartment. So only two of them, Prabhupada and Gurudas Prabhu. So he was very happy. He was looking forward to the rest of the journey, etc. Prabhupada just said, Gurudas, go. That's it. Nothing, right? Mm. There's one more incident where once Prabhupada is on a train journey and Yamuna Mataji comes and asks. And as soon as Prabhupada sees her, he says, "Like, can I get some rice? Did you come to give me rice?" Something like that. Prabhupada says, Yamuna Mataji says, rice here on the train? Of course, I mean, thinking, okay, Prabhupada, we'll get. And then two Matajis, I think another Mataji is Kaushala Mataji. Right? Both of them, they just go, they go to the pantry and then they ask, then their vessels, etc., etc., but nobody allows. And then they go to some, in charge of the pantry, and they go to somebody else, and everybody is declining. So Yamuna Mata says, see, I have to do this to my spiritual master. It is his desire, his order. If I can't do it, I will have to jump off the train. And then suddenly they get very afraid, saying that, this Mataji might just jump off the train, and then that person comes and gets permission and allows them to cook. It's like that, they never used to think, "Oh, okay, what will anybody think? Is this possible, not possible?" Nothing. Prabhupada is saying, that's it, done. Mm, no question of personal convenience, inconvenience. I have no time, I have this thing to do, that thing to do, something else. Nothing. Prabhupada is to say, whatever is required has to be done. That's it. What is the difficulty? Right? So this is lack of personal interest, not even a tinge, right? So Anything that is given to us, we should simply, Prabhupada once said, you should be a yes, sir. When Guru is saying something, we should just say yes, sir. We should say, yeah, Guru Maharaj, but no. Yes, Guru Maharaj, that's it. Yes, Prabhupada. Yes, some senior devotee is saying something. Yes, that's it. And then we can think okay, how to do, what to do. Then we can ask for clarifications, we can discuss this, that, and all that. But yes, right, that is the mode of pure devotion. Okay, I'll finish this also. Karma nirharam uddishya parasmin va taddarpanam yajed yastavyam iti va prithak bhavas satvikah. The devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebriety of fruitive activities. His devotion in the mode of goodness. So this is that mukti. So this is devotion in the mode of goodness. This is not pure. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, along with the Brahmacharis, Grastas, Vanaprasthas, Sannyasis, are the members of the 8 divisions of Varnas and Ashramas, and they have their respective duties to perform for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When such activities are performed and the results are offered to the Supreme Lord, they are called karmarpanam. Duties performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. Now, please note this. This is activities which are performed as per Varnashrama and offered to the Supreme Lord. They are karmarpanam. Not doing whatever we want and then say Krishna Arpanamastu. That's not accepted. Right? But anyway, Kali Yuga, then Prabhupada said, okay, you offer the result to Krishna. It's fine. Don't have to worry about changing your position. But this is the standard. Standard is that when we do activities as per Varnashrama and then offer the result to Krishna, Supreme Lord, that is karmarpanam. If there's any inebriety or fault, it is atoned by this offering process. But if this offering process is in the mode of goodness rather than in pure devotion, then the interest is different. Meaning it is selfish. Free oneself from the inebrities of fruitive activities, meaning get rid of this karma phala. And this is selfish. So this is in the mode of goodness. The 4 ashramas and 4 varnas act for some benefit in accordance with their personal interests. Therefore, such activities are in the mode of goodness. So even varna and ashrama, traditional varna and ashrama, people used to still do according to personal interests. So these are in the mode of goodness. But this is good because it's going to bring the devotee to pure goodness. That is the reason why varna ashrama was good. Now what we need to do? We need to transcend the 4 varnas and ashramas. Traigunya Vishayaveda Nistraigunya Bhavajana. Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Because as long as we are in this 4 varna and ashramas, we are in that mindset, then we will have some personal interest. And then our bhakti can at best be in the mode of goodness. They cannot be counted in the category of pure devotion. Pure devotion, as described by Rupa Goswami, is free from all material desires. So when Prabhupada said you can be in any position and do bhakti, it is to do bhakti free from all material desires. Then whatever varna ashrama we are in doesn't matter. But if you are affected by varna ashrama that we are in, then Bhagavad Gita says transcend the 3 modes. Then we have to give up this varna ashrama. Anaya vilashita shunyam. There can be no excuse for personal or material interest. Devotional activity should be transcendental to fruitive activities and empirical philosophical speculation. Dana karmadi anavritam. True devotional service is transcendental to all material qualities. Devotional service in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness can be divided into 81 categories. So this is 3 into 3 into 3, like that. There are different devotional activities such as hearing, chanting. Oh, this is 9. Okay, 9 into 3, 27 into 3. Now, for what reason that 3 is not clear. Okay, so 9 we know, Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc. Navavida Bhakti. And then 3 qualitative categories, Sattva, Rajas, Tama. So 9 into 3 becomes 27. But then Prabhupada says 81. So 27 into 3 is 81. But what is that other 3 is not clear. There is hearing in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of goodness. Similarly, there is chanting in the mode of ignorance, passion, goodness, etc. 3 multiplied by 9 equals 27. And when again multiplied by 3, now why this again multiplied by 3 is not explained. It becomes 81. One has to transcend all such mixed materialistic devotional service in order to reach the standard of pure devotional service, as explained in the next verses. Anyway, so the point is that we should transcend these modes. We should not be doing our bhakti in with any of these mindsets that were described in these 3 verses. Then, like Prabhupada is saying, pure devotional service is being explained in the next verses. We'll discuss pure devotional service next. Okay, so I'll stop here. Any questions, comments?
Prabhuji, this karma arpanam is different from nishkam karma yoga.
Nishkama karma means no desire. Here there might be desire, but then we
Here,
offer it to the, we still offer it to the Lord. We offer.
yes, here they are also offering, but in nishkam karma yoga, it is offering and without desire.
Yeah.
Okay. And Prabhuji, just a thought came that how can a separatist be called a devotee? Like, he should be called a pseudo devotee if his desires
Yeah,
are
correct.
altogether.
That's correct. So actually mixed devotees are called bhakti abhas, but because they accept the Supreme Lord. That is the only point. Because they accept Supreme Lord, they are called devotees, but they are kanishta.
Yes, Prabhuji, at least like one should be above this level of having different desire from Lord.
No, that is the highest. That is pure devotion. So in mixed devotion, always devotees have separatist mindset. They have other desires.
Okay, in all the modes, in goodness also, there is a separatist.
Yeah. Everything is separatist. No, that's just now we read. No, selfish. Selfishness means separatist.
Okay.
See, just to summarize this, there are 2 kinds of devotional service: mixed devotional service, pure devotional service. Mixed devotional service is always in these modes, one of these modes, right?
Okay.
Pure devotional service has pure desire just to please Guru and Krishna. So mixed devotion is actually called bhakti abhas. It's called semblance of bhakti. But he is accepted as a Vaishnava because he is accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, technically, he cannot be accepted as a Vaishnava because these qualities don't belong to a pure devotee.
And if the desire is to please Guru and Krishna, like no other desire, but although you are not able to come up to that level, like
That is okay.
due
First
to
standard of pure devotional
your
service.
limitations. Okay.
First standard of pure devotional service. Then there'll be second standard. Then there'll be PhD.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Can I share something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Prabhuji, like when you are preaching, like you said initially, when you preach, you have to be careful. It's very often seen, Prabhu, like, it's people, they give up non-veg easily. You know, like sometimes some drastic statement, like I personally have seen, like like before coming to Krishna conscious, like non-veg was, like, like when Guru Maharaj made a statement, he said, your stomach is not a graveyard, and that hit my children, and my elder son, he's not a devotee, but they do chant, and immediately they left non-veg, like. But when you tell them onion garlic, wo nahi khana, any amount of telling them onion garlic nahi khana, like it's tamasic, this, that, they come up with so many reasons and so many answers that it becomes, they don't take it easy. And you see, even with devotees, it takes you 6 months, 1 year to convince you not to eat non-veg, but it takes you a long period to convince you not to eat onion and garlic. I don't know, like if it is with everybody, but I have giving up worship of demigods and not eating onion garlic. It absorbs in more time than giving up non-veg.
Okay. Devotees want to comment? Anybody has any thoughts on this?
I mean, I can speak from my personal experience, Prabhu.
Yeah.
I mean, because just by someone telling me, I did not change, right?
Yeah.
Even I was eating non-vegetarian, all these things. And I was like consultant, traveling and all. So, I mean, it's difficult. Just like, there's an example, right? If you turn off the fan, it won't turn off immediately. It takes time. I mean, maybe it's my personal journey. I mean, like, eventually, as I kept on hearing, chanting, hearing continuously, eventually I lost the taste, So when I stopped, and then I didn't take it up again.
Very
Just
nice.
took some time, but again, I don't know, it's individual.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other thoughts? Okay. So I think one is obviously Shravanam, right? So normally, I mean, in my preaching, what I do is initially I don't ask them to stop anything. I just simply tell them saying just chant, 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 right? And they should hear and chant, and most importantly, they should honor prasadam as much as possible. We don't even have to tell them anything. See, the taste for material has to go. Right? The taste will not go by just jnana. See, this is the beauty about bhakti, right? And which is why if prasadam actually is given, if it is prasadam, meaning cooked by somebody with love for the Lord, accepted by the Lord, and taken as honored as prasadam, as mercy, that has a very powerful impact. It's a very powerful impact. So one of the things that I try to do is actually increase their taste for Krishna consciousness without hammering on the rules. Now the hammering will happen when that attachment, then attraction increases. When they're now attached to Krishna, devotional service, they want to come, they want to serve, they can't they'll say, no, I can't be without coming to the center for a week. Then I know that, okay, this is time for now giving higher rules. Right now, because they would have got so much taste, automatically they will drop. Automatically they'll drop. Till then they might have heard, but it wouldn't have ever registered seriously. But at least in my own experience, till the taste for Krishna consciousness, they should like to be with devotees, they should like to come and serve, they should like to eat prasadam. They should like to eat prasadam. And we always try to feed people more than how much they require, right? Because this is the way actually to get them out of this taste for onion garlic, this prasadam. Of course, everybody will not be the same. All are unique jivas. Everybody will have their own personal challenges, etc. But see, one thing I have seen is that if this is done, if initial nurturing of devotees is done well, and if they are hearing about, and are in the association of like-minded devotees, serious devotees, it's not very easy because they see it's being done by everybody. So what is the big deal? Right. So then they'll think that I know I'm unqualified because looks like everybody else is doing. Why am I'm the most fallen in the group? Looks like one of our devotees in one of the programs was telling, Prabhu, other devotees are reading, so we have a reading session. Some group of devotees, they're reading every evening, right? Yeah, we get those messages in the group. So they're already in third canto, etc. Then this devotee came and said, Prabhu, they're already in third canto. I've still not finished Bhagavad Gita. Am I the least qualified in the group? I said, don't think about it that way, right? But this comes naturally, saying that, okay, others are doing better. Then I said, you're studying more deeply, you study and you also give more time and you make more, read more, then you'll also come. But you're doing better by going more deep into the verses and making notes and preparing for classes, etc. So it's good. But that thing came saying that, oh, am I less qualified? And that is important. That is important. And Prabhupada always wanted to create, it's a very constructive competition, not envious competition. That also helps. Yeah, Shruti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Vamsi.
Okay, then I should say Shruti / Vamsi next time. Okay.
No worries, Prabhu. No worries. So I just thought I can share our own experience, what's happening between us, me and Shruti, actually. So we are at Upasaka right now, and to take the next level, we have to let go onions and garlic, right? So that was a stop for us, saying that, okay, first let's redefine ourselves and ensure that we don't eat outside and then reduce it and then look for that. Trust me, with that logic, we have just lost, I think, 3 years now without, moving ahead. And like you mentioned in your association, so what's happening is, yes, you're not forcing us, but you are giving the tattva, you are making us understand, realize. At least what I can see the change and transition in us is, of course, I wouldn't say 100%, but Shruti has been 100%, but I have not been able to reach 100% because of my travel and things of that sort. But wherever possible now, for when I go outside, I'm just carrying loads and loads of food so that I don't touch outside food.
Yeah, loads and
That's
loads of food, and give others also. They'll also be happy
other
to
food.
eat loads and
Correct.
loads of food.
Yeah, yeah. So that I'm just telling my tongue that, look, if you are hungry, you have to just go to that box. That's it, nothing more.
That's it.
That was one. And another piece is travel as well, Prabhu. I think I've just helped making my mind to say, how can I find an alternative if you're hungry? So it
Perfect.
can be fruits. And recently I went to Hyderabad. So I just went to temple first before meeting clients. So took darshan and then went to Govindas, had breakfast,
Yeah,
then
perfect.
parcel for the next 2 meals. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to eat for the day. So somewhere I felt like you were rightly saying it's easy, Prabhu, but it was very difficult for me to take it to my mind. And what I said is, if Prabhu is saying it's easy, but we need to see how I can make it easy for myself. So went into a solution mode. I think it's helping me to come away from it. So last week we had our cousin's function as well. So we strictly told we are not eating, and we said we will have prasad. So we just took boxes there and we had food there itself. So I think it's all in the mind itself, Prabhu, like you always say, and little bit of a determination. And whenever my tongue says that I want something more, can I push back and say, look, you should eat only prasad? Probably it's helping, and maybe in few more days it will become zero, is what I'm thinking.
Super. Thank you for that. Good. You should write a blog. You should write story. Actually, Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to write. He said you should write. These are very deep realizations. It might seem like simple, but it's not actually. It could help hundreds of other people who are possibly stuck in the same boat as you were to actually
Right.
make the transition. So you
Yeah.
should write these things. We have to reach out to more people. Everybody is struggling in their own
Yes.
ways, right? And whenever we make even an inch of progress, I think that will possibly help somebody else.
You're right, Prabhu. I think we should do that. Maybe
Yeah.
I got your inspiration only by you. When you were saying that you have gone overseas and not had non-prasadam food, I was like, okay, I think in India there are so many temples around, so many devotees around, and if we are not able to do it, then I'm not doing it seriously. So that was my
Very
thought
good.
process.
Yeah.
So
Bottom line
yeah,
is that serious word, right? So it will automatically give us solutions.
yes,
Serious.
Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. So hope that helps. Okay. So if there's nothing else, we'll close. Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vachakalpatar Bheshta Kripa Sindhu Devacha Paridana Bhana Vaishnava Namo Namo Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That was
Hare